You're listening to Clearview Today with Dr. Abadan Shah, the daily show that engages mind and heart for the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm Ryan Hill.
I'm Jimmy Neutron. Guys quoting Jimmy Neutron over in the back. I'm John Galantis.
And you can find our show online by visiting clearviewtodayshow.com. Or if you have any questions for Dr. Shah or suggestions for new topics, send us a text to 252-582-5028. Or you can email us at contact@clearviewtodayshow.com.
That's right. If you guys want to cut up, at least turn your mic on and do it so it doesn't sound like I'm laughing at nothing. If you guys want to help us keep the conversation going, you can do so by supporting the show. You can share it online with your friends and family. Leave us a good 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasting content from. We're going to leave a couple of links right there in the description box, so you can do just that.
And the verse of the day today coming not from Jimmy Neutron, but from the book of Acts, chapter 5, verse 29.
Got a blast.
Got a blast. But Peter and the other apostles answered and said, we ought to obey God rather than men.
That's true. That's true, man. And a lot of our problems in life would be so much easier, so much better if we just obeyed God rather than men. I know Dr. Shah told a story one time about R.G. Letourneau, who kind of had that same. I think we've told it on the podcast. Mm-hmm. R.G. Letourneau was a brilliant man of God. He was a what do you call it? Like not an inventor, but like he manufactured big, heavy industrial equipment. And he was in some financial woes, right? He was in some financial trouble, some debt. He couldn't even pay his workers. And so he went to church, and they were doing like a missions thing where they were like, we want you to pledge for missions. And he felt called to do it, but he was like, I can't even pay my workers. Some of these people sitting in the pews work for me. And if I'm giving money to this mission and I can't even pay their bills, and God said, listen, obey God rather than men. Yeah. And he did. Yeah. And what ended up happening was he ended up making such a huge deal on the back half of that experience that he was able to pay all his workers an extra. And that's how God works, when you obey him rather than obey men and worry about what men think.
That's right. It's always better to obey God than to obey men. We're so prone to listen to and do what we're told. I mean, that's kind of how we're pre-programmed as a society. But God's rule trumps man's rule. Mm-hmm. And we should always look to him as opposed to the laws in the world around us. Now, I'm not saying, we would never say disobey for the sake of being disobedient, but if it comes down to it and you are called to stand up in, respectful disobedience because of what God's word says, we're called to do that as believers.
I got a personal story about how obeying and just doing what you're told can go very wrong. Very, very, very wrong.
Well, before we dive into that, I want to remind you that all of these verses come to you from the Date the Word app. It's a great way to stay up to date with God's Word and to get God's Word as a daily part of your life. You can download it for free on iPhone or Android. Every single day connects today's date with God's Word with the hope of making it more memorable for you.
That's right. Thank you to the Date the Word app. So, last year, maybe it was last year or the year before last. I can't remember.
It was last year, wasn't it?
It might have been last year. It's pretty recent. I still feel the raw burn of shame and humiliation and regret. So it was mid-June or July. It was late summer, well beyond Mother's Day. Yeah. Mother's Day is in May. So I'm up on stage, right, and we're leading worship. And between worship, between the last song, thank you guys, you may be seated, and the pastor coming up, we do just a short welcome. Hey, welcome to Clearview. Thank you for worshiping with us. Make sure you fill out that Connect card. If there's anything we can pray for you, yada, 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 all that good stuff. Okay, so we have what's called a confidence monitor, or it's just a projector on the back wall that the audience the congregation can't see. They're looking at the main screens that have like welcome, nice graphics, but then there's text on the back wall that's invisible to them, but we can see it from the stage that kind of tells us, gives the bullet points, here's what you don't,
here's what you're supposed to say.
What you're supposed to say.
Yeah.
There was a Mother's Day script, right? It was like, hey, thank you for all the moms to be moms at Hearts, blah, 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 blah. I'm on autopilot, right? We've just got out of the third song. The spirit is moving. Everybody be seated. Emotions are high. The moment is there. So you want to say something that's emotional and ties in. That's really the trick, is to not interrupt the flow. Yeah. The flow of worship is still going. You don't want to halt it and be like, hey, guys, here's all the housekeeping stuff. So I saw the Mother's Day script on the wall, and I was not even thinking. It's not even close to Mother's Day. Mother's Day was like 2 or 3 months ago.
Yeah. It's not like the last, like, it wasn't like last weekend or like a couple weeks ago. No, it was several months past.
I just started reading it. I just started reading
late July, maybe even early August.
It was like going into, like, Father's Day was done. Yeah. Father's Day was already passed. Yeah. And so I was like, man, we just want to.
Mother's Day to all the moms.
Yes.
Moms.
I was like, from all of us here at Clearview, we just want to wish you guys a very, very happy Mother's Day. We're grateful. We're so grateful for the women in our lives who sacrifice so much. And I'm like going in.
All the moms are like,
people are confused. Question marks over every head in the sanctuary. They're like, what? Halfway through, I realized, oh my goodness.
It's not Mother's Day.
It's not Mother's Day. They just left it on the back wall I think it was from the last time we did that song. And it was like, I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm mid-speech right now. I just finished. I just committed.
Roll with it.
Yeah, I just finished strong. So
that's when you turn around on people and be like, I'm sorry, I just wanted to recognize and honor the moms in our lives. Do you not think that every day should be Mother's Day? Because that's really a you problem.
I don't get embarrassed easy. I really don't get embarrassed easy. I was pretty red-faced. I got down and I was like, I knew once I walked back there, like the guys in the lobby and the people in the broadcast room would be like, what was that? Happy Mother's Day? I think Dr. Shah got up and just ignored it, which I was pretty grateful for. I don't think anybody on staff or on I don't think anybody who actually heard it and was confused by it said anything.
Yeah.
But I got roasted pretty hard by some of the other volunteers. So anyway, moral of the story, don't just do what you're told.
Right.
Because someone put that on the back wall and told me, talk about Mother's Day. You got to think, man. You got to think. I didn't think.
That's it.
I didn't think. But we do want to recognize all the moms.
Yeah, every day is Mother's Day. To be fair, there are worse things you could have said. I mean, Happy Mother's Day is fine.
Yeah, that's true. I remember one time somebody wrote, this was not here at Clearview, this was another church I was at, but somebody put on the screen, there was that song, sing to the King who is coming to reign. There's a verse in there that goes, Satan is vanquished and Jesus is king. Someone wrote Satan is ransomed. And they sang it. The whole church sang it.
Nope.
And I remember
Not correct.
the pastor had to get up. I think it was at a revival. The pastor had to get up and said, hey, just so everybody knows, I don't know what that was, but those are not the lyrics.
Yeah.
I hope
Satan
we didn't
is
mean
not
that.
ransomed.
Yeah.
We don't believe that.
Someone 100% wrote that.
Whoops. That's,
So yeah, it could have been bad.
Make sure you, so larger point, make sure you check your confidence monitors in your lyrics.
That's right.
Double check. Get another set of eyes on there. If you've ever had a technical blunder like that in front of people, write in and let us know. 252-582-5028. Or you can visit us online at clearviewtodayshow.com. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
What's going on, listeners? My name is John.
And I'm David.
And we hope you are enjoying the podcast thus far.
You know, we really appreciate how many of you download the podcast every day.
Right.
But we also want to remind you that we are first and foremost a radio show.
Clearview Today is actually syndicated through the Truth Network. And we just want to let you know right now that in addition to hosting the all-time best Christian talk show of all time,
Hashtag Clearview Today.
Hashtag Clearview Today, the Truth Network also, as it turns out, has an extensive library of Christian programming.
We really love everything they're doing at the Truth Network because the whole goal is to encourage, challenge, confront, and uplift listeners with the life-changing truth of Jesus Christ through Christian Talk Radio.
And listen, we know we are not the only show wanting to expand its audience. So if you have a vision for your show or for your ministry, why don't you consider syndicating your show through the Truth Network? Because they rely on decades of experience of self-syndication with a full array of features for your long-form or short-form content.
Make sure you visit the Truth Network online today at truthnetwork.com, or you can give them a call at 336-759-0363. Again, that's 336-759-0363. Well, John, are you ready?
I was born ready, my friend. Let's hop right back in.
All right.
Welcome back to Clearview Today with Dr. Abadan Shah, the daily show that engages mind and heart for the gospel of Jesus Christ. You can visit us online at clearviewtodayshow.com, or if you have any questions or suggestions for new topics, send us a text to 252-582-5028.
That's right, and we are coming at you live from the Clearview Today studio with Dr. Abadan Shah, who is a PhD in New Testament textual criticism, professor at Carolina University, author, full-time pastor, and the host of today's show. Dr. Shah, happy Mother's Day, dude. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms to be, moms at heart.
No. It's not. It's not Mother's Day.
Why are we clapping?
Oh, because Dr. Shah, did I do that? We were talking earlier. I thought you were going to do it. You want to try again?
Sure.
Did I do that? We're going to get that. We're going to get that on our little sound effects board soon. We were talking about last year. It was sometime around late July. borderline August when someone
The point there being not near Mother's Day.
no, not even close. But someone remember. I don't know if you remember, but on the back wall, the projector, the confidence screen had the Mother's Day script, and I just started reading it to the congregation. I don't know if you remember that.
Happy Mother's Day to
It was
all
like
the
late
moms,
July, but
Oh, yeah, I remember
but they
that.
put it
I
in
remember
July.
that.
And so I was reading it, and it just like when you get up there, like I don't know what happened.
And I was
but
like,
you in the
Why?
whole church. The
why
rest-
did he?
Everybody just
And it
looks
was
very
like it
puzzled.
was already passed, right?
Oh yeah, I
Well
think Father's
past.
Day had passed.
Yeah. I was like, why did he just do that?
we were coming to the end of summer.
I believe it was
Yeah.
like we were gearing up for the school. Father's Day was already over, but it was on the back wall, and I was just in auto mode, and I was like, but anyway, we just want to thank you guys for being here. Happy Mother's Day to all our moms, moms to be, moms at heart. We just want to let you know we appreciate you guys. And everybody's
you
like,
just rolled with it. Just
so many question
So
marks.
was it like somebody forgot
goofed
to
up.
take it,
So
take it
we-
out?
We did a song on Mother's Day, and then didn't do that song
that's
again.
why. I was trying to figure out
until-
why it was left, but it was
because it was
a
attached
song.
to the end of the last song on the screen. So nobody else on the main screens, everybody just saw Welcome to Clearview. But on the back screen, I saw the Mother's Day script, so I started reading it, and halfway through, I realized I was like, I have messed up. Has anything like that ever happened to you, where like you're in front of
messed up.
you're in front of like 400 or 500 people, you start talking, and you realize halfway through like this isn't right.
It happened in the early years. So guess what I do now?
What?
I have my entire message written out.
Right.
Word for word. Okay, word for word. Now, I don't read word for word, but I have it in front of me just in case. So, no, I don't do that.
Because I was going to say one thing I also admire about you is if something's not right, Dr. Shah will be like, hey, hang on, time out. That's not right. Let's fix that. Whereas I was like, oh, I realize it's not right. I just have to keep talking.
just power through.
I'm gonna push my way through.
Yeah.
Power
I
through.
do admire someone who's confident enough to be like, hang on, let's stop for a second. Let's get that fixed because that's not right. I don't know what I'm looking at, but it's not Mother's Day. Not everybody can do that, and I couldn't. I proved I couldn't do it.
when that confidence screen is off, I mean, it's difficult because you become so dependent on it, and then it's not correct, and you're trying to think on the fly, and it's just not many people can think on their feet like that.
Yeah, it's not Mother's Day. We can agree
It's
on
not
that.
Mother's Day.
But it is a very special birthday today.
It is.
And it's not your birthday.
It is not my
It's
birthday.
not Dr. Shaw's birthday. It's not Nicholas.
Nope.
It's not David.
Nope.
It's not even me.
No, it's not. It's not the Clearview Today show.
It's not the Clearview Today show. We're celebrating a very special birthday today.
Someone who could think on his feet and was good in front of a crowd.
My boy Patty.
Don't call him that.
Patty Henry.
Don't call him that. Patrick Henry was born today on this day, May the 29th, back in 1736.
Now, Dr. Shah, there's someone listening today who probably has got like a D+ in history, and they're saying, who on earth is Patrick Henry?
Patrick Henry, oh my goodness, give me liberty or give me death.
That's right.
Well, that's
what
too
they-
weak.
Here,
Can
I
we
got
have
you.
like a
Yeah,
you go. That's better.
Patty!
Yeah.
If they had the air horns back then, they would have sounded.
They
it
would
for
have been
him.
like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Well, he was born in a kind of a rural Virginia family. Started his career at 16 as like a struggling storekeeper, and then as a farmer, and then he went on to become a successful self-taught lawyer. Really, I mean, this is by 1760. His father kind of trained him, and he became one of the greatest orators of our history of the American Republic. And we know about the "Give me liberty or give me death" speech.
Right.
But there's another speech I want to read for y'all, sometime in this conversation that I think, in my opinion, the words are even more powerful than the "Give me liberty or give me death" speech that he gave at St. John's Church in Richmond. I've been to that church.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
When did you go? You went recently?
No, we went there. Oh my goodness, we went there in 2010.
Okay.
Yeah, 2010. Our whole family went. Nicole, myself, our 4 kids, and I don't know if Nicholas wants me to tell the story. Can I tell the story?
Do you even know what he's talking about, Nick? He said, I think so.
He remembered this one.
So we got to St. John's Church in Richmond, which is where the Second Virginia Convention had gathered in 1775. Okay, and so outside, when you walk in to the churchyard, I guess you can say that,
you walk into a graveyard. All around the church are graves. And so we walk in. So if you ever have been to St. John's Church in Richmond, you kind of park your car on the side of the road. There's not like a parking lot. You park your cars on the side of the road, and then you make your way towards the front where you climb up the steps, and then you are in the graveyard, and then the church is just directly in front of you. So we walked in there, and St. John's Church has the graveyard has some very prominent people buried there. I think Wythe, who was Thomas Jefferson's mentor, is buried there, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So anyways, we walked in, standing and looking at the graves, and this massive graves here, graves there. And there was a guide who was talking to some people, so we're sort of like listening in on that conversation. And one of our children,
I wonder which one.
I won't mention any names, said it as loud as he could. Who died?
Well,
how old was this unnamed child at the time?
This individual, this young lad.
In 2010.
2010.
Yeah, 2010. Let's see, 2024.
I mean,
that person is 20 now.
Yeah.
Oh, so they would have been like 7 or 8.
7 years old.
7 years old.
Yeah, he said as loud as he could, and everybody stopped in the turn and looked at it. and of course the girls are like laughing, and I'm like, shh. But the whole time we're just having a great time, thinking, who died?
Yeah.
I mean, that's an obvious question. Is like, we're here.
Yeah.
And that's right, George Wythe, or White, I guess, or with, I don't know. Yeah, he's buried in St. John's Episcopal Churchyard in Richmond, Virginia. Thank you,
Wow.
David, for finding it. That's him. He was Thomas Jefferson's mentor. So all these people are in that graveyard. But anyways, going back to Patrick Henry.
Right. So it's funny because it's a name that people only recognize him for one thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny you think about like people in history getting pigeonholed. You know, we think about like actors or celebrities now, like you only think of them as those one thing. But I guess it happens with everybody. Like imagine contributing so much to this revolutionary movement and people know you for one quote. Now, granted, everybody wants that one quote.
Yeah, it's a great quote.
But at the same time, it's like these people, a lot of their contributions end up getting lost under the fame of that one thing that they did.
And he was known, Patrick Henry was known for being this person who spoke out.
Right.
You know, he was known for his just the way, his rhetorical excellence, I guess I can say. Just the way he would talk about, and like in 1763, he won fame first time. As a young lawyer, he was attacking the established Anglican clergy because they were demanding more money from the parishes. And I mean, he went after them. Like, how dare you, right? This is 1763. And then 1765, he was elected to the Virginia legislature. And then in 10 days right after he was elected, he spoke out against the king in Parliament and called them tyrants for taxing the people without their consent.
Wow.
This is Patrick Henry.
Yeah,
I mean, he came in fighting, but he came fighting with words.
He's standing on some business.
Yes.
It's kind of interesting, and I really love that, and I think I respect that a lot about people back then. Is when they talked and when they spoke, there was substance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because not everybody had that platform back then. Whereas you think about now, everybody on
has
earth
a platform,
has a
but nobody's
microphone
really saying
and a
anything.
podcast, and they're not saying nothing.
Yeah.
Even people I admire. There's even people like celebrities, not celebrities, but figures that I admire who, if you rarely listen to them, they're not saying much of anything.
Right.
But they speak well. You know what I mean?
That's right. And for Patrick Henry, I mean, this is now, let's jump ahead, 1775. Now, it seems like just yesterday he was talking about the clergy, and today he was talking against somebody else, the tyrants, the king, and day after he's talking about give me liberty and give me death. But that's not true. I mean, years are passing.
A lot of
by.
time has elapsed.
So he's learning, he's growing, he's becoming more and more influential in these colonies, especially in Virginia, as a man you look to rally the people, to move them to action. And if I can read this speech, I mean, this is a powerful speech, the one that he addressed as to the president of the convention. He said it this way. He said, "Let us not, I beseech you, sir, deceive ourselves longer. Sir, we have done everything that could be done to avert the storm which is now coming on. We have petitioned. We have remonstrated. We have supplicated. We have prostrated ourselves before the throne.
Wow.
Our petitions have been slighted. Our remonstrances have produced additional violence and insult. Our supplications have been disregarded, and we have been spurned with contempt from the foot of the throne. Sir, we are not weak. If we make a proper use of those means which the God of nature has placed in our power, 3 millions of people armed in the holy cause of liberty and in such a country as that which we possess are invincible by any force which the enemy can send against us. Besides, sir, we shall not fight our battles alone. There is a just God who presides over the destinies of nations. Gentlemen may cry, peace, peace, but there is no peace. The war is actually begun. Is life is so dear, or peace is so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God. I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death. You gotta have a bigger applause.
I gotta get.
Like a uproarious, like that would have been like an eruption in applause.
Just
But
like
I think
people-
that probably was closer to how they may have responded. I don't even know if they clapped.
Yeah, true.
We were walking around with the guide, and if I'm not wrong, they said at the time, I may be wrong, they said there were no clapping. I mean, the people would clap,
Right.
but I don't think that speech got the claps that we envision today.
You think it was more like stunned
They were like,
silence?
oh my, you're that's a little too much, because what you're saying is either that or I'm going to die
Yeah.
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 fighting. Like if today somebody says, hey, I'm going to die for that, what do you immediately our ears
You're-
perk up and you're like, oh.
Yeah, you're kind of on edge.
What are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. And it's crazy because back then, as things are escalating, as things are moving closer and closer and closer to this explosion of violence and war, I
Yeah.
feel like people were sort of, it was being revealed where exactly people stood.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, hey, I really believe in this stuff, but not enough to do anything about it.
Right.
And I guess it's like a separation of, not the sheep from goats, but you know what I'm saying? Like the people who are actually willing to do something about it. And Patrick Henry's placing himself firmly in that camp.
Yeah.
And he is not just a person who is moved by passion. Now his rhetoric is pretty passionate, but he's not just a person moved by passion. This is intelligence. This is eloquence. These are powerful words. They're coming from Scripture. They're coming from Jeremiah. Gentlemen may cry, peace, peace. I mean, the false prophets were saying there's peace. We're going to work this out.
Yeah.
And he's saying there is no peace coming.
Wow.
There's war coming.
Wow.
And so that is so powerful,
Yeah.
just to think about the time in which he said those words.
Yeah, the country is, I mean, not yet a country, but it's on the path to independence and that road through the Revolutionary War. I'm just imagining, like, what would it have been like to live in those days and to have existed before America was America, and to watch that process happen in real time, and to be able to stand up and say things like "Give me liberty" or "Give me death," to believe in that cause so much.
I even think like the forward thinking, like having the foresight of knowing what's coming. And so what I mean by that is like these days, what you hear is we need to go back. We need to go back to the 50s, back to the 60s when everything was good and everybody was Christian. And Patrick Henry and I feel like these revolutionary guys, just like you said, Dr. Shah, they knew like there's no going back. There's no peace coming. We've got to march forward on our terms.
Yeah.
And I wonder if America is getting to that place again, or if we feel like revival to what once worked is still possible.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like not saying that we're hopeless, but saying, okay, we're never going back to this place. Or is it more like, hey, we can, if we get our hearts and minds right, we can get back to this place and not have to carve something new.
If going back to the place involves is more about my personal convenience and things I am familiar with and my ease among people like me, if you want to go back to that day is gone.
Yeah.
That's not coming back. And I don't think you want it to come back because that day also had evil in it.
Yeah.
But if going back means values, if going back means the gospel of Jesus Christ, if going back means going to the heart of what the founders of this nation really believed and what they stood for, then I think it's possible.
Yeah.
That is possible. But going back is like the good old days, man, when you sit on the front porch and, okay, I think you're nostalgic.
Right.
But nostalgia doesn't always mean things that will last forever. Nostalgia just means I like those days where I did things my way, and I had my friends and people I was comfortable with, and this is how it worked.
Yeah.
I'm not that interested in that because you're not going to get many takers on that.
That's right. We just did an episode on that very recently.
Yeah.
Well, in fact, I'll link to it in the description.
When you make that point before each one of our plays, especially the last several shows that we've done, have been that sort of nostalgic feeling. I mean, we did things like Tom Sawyer, Little Women,
Right.
Those
Those period
timeless
pieces.
tales. Yeah. But you bring it up in each one. Like nostalgia is fine, but nostalgia for nostalgia's sake is incomplete.
Yeah.
It's not lasting. It's not permanent.
Right.
We need to be nostalgic for the values.
We're
that
looking
brought
to
us.
something that worked back
That's
then.
right. And those values, okay, now you got me on board.
Right.
Yeah, I like the old things. Of course I do. You know, I like cowboys and I like the westerns, the old westerns. I mean, yeah, there's something to that. But to think that we can somehow bring back that era, like what era? Like Bonanza?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a TV show. Right?
Yeah.
What era are you talking about? The 1880s?
Yeah.
Like what? Tombstone? I mean, what era are we talking about?
What are you
Right.
searching for?
What are you searching for?
Yeah.
I like the freedom. I like the independence. I like people who are strong and are willing to stand for values.
Right.
Good guys are good. Bad guys, you better run. I mean, that's different.
And to someone like Patrick Henry, that was the future.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He wasn't looking to get back to the good old days when the colonists were doing their own thing or whatever. He saw that they had taken the nation as far as they could take it under Britain's rule.
Right. It's time to separate. It's time to move forward.
As a leader, do you find yourself having to do that? Having to see, okay, I have to kind of determine the time to change or the time to transform the culture?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I truly believe that. I believe we are the Patrick Henrys of today. In a different sort of way. If they were living today, I think they would be on the cutting edge of what we're doing. Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, James Madison, Patrick Henry, John Hancock, all these people would be on the cutting edge. They would not be like old, powdered wigs guys sitting
Drinking
there,
tea and
trying to, talk about a forgotten era. No, they would be in the cutting edge of things. I want to be them today.
Yeah.
In a good way. In a way that changes the world for the better.
What do you think it takes for Christian leaders to get to that place today?
Wow. For one, I mean, you need a real relationship with Jesus Christ. You got to get an understanding of the gospel for yourself. You need to believe that the gospel is the truth from ancient times. It's the truth that goes back to the beginning. The proto-evangelium, that is the gospel, and the gospel is about Jesus Christ, his death, burial, resurrection. You got to get that in your core, in your DNA. And then understand that the history of the world is simply the history of people either accepting or rejecting that gospel. And civilizations were built or they fell apart based on whether or not they opened the doors to that gospel. Even before the coming of Christ, the gospel was there. It was portrayed as Abraham and Sarah moved. It was portrayed when Joseph was in Egypt. It was portrayed when Solomon was the wisest man in the world. It was portrayed when God's people were taken into exile, whether it's the Assyrian or the Babylonian exile. It was portrayed when Jesus came. I mean, it was portrayed.
Right.
And then through the ages, through the centuries, it has been portrayed. And so what does it take to understand, this is not just a means to an end or just a way to make a living. This is the way the world was intended to be.
That's true. That's right.
Okay?
This is God's design.
This is God's design. This is what brings life in people. This is what gives people hope and eternity. And it changes the cultures for the better. It improves society. It improves the status of people, especially those who are on the margins of society, especially those who are the weaker sex, right? If I can say that, women, it raises them up. I mean, all these things came because of the Word of God.
That's true.
The Judeo-Christian values, especially
100%.
Christianity. So when we have when we get the heart of what we're doing, it moves us in a whole different way.
That's true. That's true.
You know?
One of the things that is very that has helped me a lot working here at Clearview is that there's always a why behind everything we do, not just a how. I'm a how person. How? Okay, I see what you want. How are we going to do that? But understanding the why behind it and the heart behind it truly has, and I know that it seems like that's just something that leaders say because they don't know what the how is, but that's not the case. Knowing the why shapes the how for you. You know what I mean? And so that's why I love the way that we do this, because in this room there's a lot of technology, there's a lot of how, but I think sitting here at this table there's a lot of why. And that's why it works so well. That's why I think we're seeing Clearview doubling, tripling, quadrupling its success also with this radio show. It's evident, and God is making it so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, going back to Patrick Henry, so, you know, in the last few years of his life, the revolution is over. America now is a nation. You know, he for a while, he wanted government to be very involved with religion. In fact, he wanted to see the state support of all Christian denominations.
Wow.
Which I'm glad it didn't work out. I think it's better to have everybody independent.
Right.
What we've made it today, the separation of church and state, is baloney.
Right.
Yeah.
But what he was saying is, no, we need to make sure that government is involved in church and supporting all denominations. Well, his reasoning behind was, in the last years of his life, now we're coming into the 1790s, okay? He became increasingly concerned about the growing deism in this new nation. I mean, after the Revolutionary War, you would expect people to be on fire for God. You know, look, we beat the mother country. They had trained soldiers. They had an army. They had weapons. They had everything. And yet we beat them. How in the world did that happen? We need to serve God, love God. And there are plenty of evidences through providence of how God came through for them. That's not what happened. To the contrary, atheism and deism began to spread.
Now, what is deism? What do you mean when you say deism?
Deism is where God is like a clockmaker, right? He made the world, and then he's like, okay,
just let it go.
yeah.
Let's see what happens.
So we believe in God, but we don't believe like Jesus Christ and all that.
Yeah,
stuff.
so like detached and personal.
No point praying to him. No point asking him for anything. It's not going to happen.
And much of this was coming through French, their revolution. So he was very concerned about that. And so in 1799, believe it or not, he came out of retirement to run for a public office in Virginia.
Man.
That's incredible.
And and at this stage in his life, he is 63 years old. And he ended up having stomach cancer.
Oh, no.
Yeah, this is June the 6th. And, you know, his doctor tried to give him medicine just to ease his pain and all of that stuff. And there's a little story about how it all came to an end. They found a small envelope sealed with wax near his last will and testament. And in this envelope, they found a single sheet of paper, and he had written these words, which to me those words are more powerful and more precious than his "give me liberty" or "give me death" speech. This is what he said. He said, "Whether this will prove a blessing or a curse will depend upon the use our people make of the blessings which a gracious God had bestowed on us. If they are wise, they will be great and happy. If they are of a contrary character, they will be miserable. Righteousness alone can exalt them as a nation. Reader, whoever thou art, remember this, and in thy sphere practice virtue thyself and encourage it in others."
Wow.
P. Henry.
Wow.
I mean, he wrote that down
Yeah.
and kept it in his last will and testament.
Wow. You think that was one of the last things he ever wrote?
That's what they say.
Wow.
He has 17 children.
Really?
In two marriages. His wife passed away, of course, and then 77 grandchildren.
Wow.
Oh, wow. I've been waiting to use that one.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
17 children.
Yeah.
How many? 77 grandchildren?
Yeah. And
Incredible.
and he's buried not far from here.
Yeah.
Red Hill, which is if you go up from Clarksville and head towards Lynchburg.
Yeah.
And you'll come
I see
to
a
Red
filming
Hill.
project in our future.
Yeah,
Let's do
I've
it.
been there. And there was no fence around the grave either. So I'm like, I'm like, this is Patrick Henry's grave.
Incredible.
How can I believe
Really?
that?
It's just
Yeah, but now there's a fence around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was about to say that's odd to me that it's not just wow.
Suppose it's there now.
That's amazing. Man, so incredible to listen to these stories about Patrick Henry and about these other men who have shaped our history. Hopefully today was helpful for you. Write in and let us know what you learned from today. 252-582-5028. Or you can visit us online at clearviewtodayshow.com. Don't forget you can partner with us financially on that same website. Every gift that you give goes not only to building up this radio show, but countless other ministries for the gospel of Jesus. Lots of great content coming your way. Stay tuned. We love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow on Clearview Today.